DuckTalks is part of Res TV's network of podcasts. Check out res.tv for other great podcasts.
Hi out there, this is Brian Cummings, and you're listening to DuckTalks. Oh, shut up.
It's the week of Monday, October 14th, and you're listening to episode 82 of DuckTalks. It's a good time to be a Disney Afternoon fan. Monday, October 14th, was the day that Disney Plus decided to just drop a bomb of content. No, the streaming service isn't available yet, but they wanted to make sure people knew that it's time to subscribe because there's going to be a lot of content available. That will be part of this episode. We'll be talking about that on episode 82, our anniversary episode, 2 years of DuckTalks. We've got a lot to talk about, as usual, during a hiatus, because that's what we do. We talk about DuckTales when it's on hiatus. My name's Mitch. I'm one of your hosts. Joining me again this week, my pals, Pirate Steven and Josh.
Ahoy there.
Hey guys, what's happening?
Have you guys been celebrating the anniversary any? You guys done anything special?
Special. I mean, I've been thinking back of how much we've done and how much time it takes to do all the things we've done. But yeah, I've enjoyed it.
I was just talking to my wife about it last night, and I was telling her, it's 2 years anniversary. She's like, it hasn't been that long. I was like, yeah, I guess it has. It just has gone so fast. I can't believe it's been 2 years already.
It has flown by, and there's been times it felt like it was creeping. But, I mean, it's funny just covering one show. You know, I see some podcasts that cover multiple shows, and I guess movies. You know, you get breaks in between movies and stuff, kind of like hiatuses. But man, I can't imagine covering a ton of content, but, you know, we're considering it as we look at all this Disney Plus content coming. Maybe we cover some other stuff as well. We'll see what the future holds, but right now it's all DuckTales and Disney Afternoon, and man, it has been a great 2 years. It's been a lot of fun. We've met a lot of people. We've met, started some new friendships, and our friendship has grown. I mean, we talk all the time. It's just been a really good time. As we get into this episode, I want to remind everybody you can follow us over on Twitter at DuckTalks, and of course we've got the website. That's where our notes go. For those of you a little behind the scenes on DuckTalks, when we've come across something we think's interesting enough to talk about on the podcast, we go ahead and put it on a blog, and that way we can open it back up and use that for our show notes. So you can always be ready to jump into the conversation by following our blog, ducktalks.com. We're also on Instagram and a few other places, but we're just not as active on Instagram, so I don't talk about it that much. We do, however, have a new, or not new, but more updated YouTube channel that Josh has been keeping up.
Yeah, I've been working hard getting all the podcasts on there, and I just started. I posted last week my new web series called Solving Mysteries, where we go and look at all the hidden Easter eggs and episodes in season 1 and season 2. And so I'm actually really excited about this. It's going to be a long process. It's probably going to be released maybe every other week, just because the amount of time I have to make a video and take care of my infant is not a whole lot of time. But I try my best to get everything that I can, try to do some research, and I'm really excited about it. I've got a few episodes already done and some in the works right now that I'm excited to share coming up soon.
Yeah, that first episode covers the intro to DuckTales 2017, and there was a lot of good information in that. I've already got to watch the second episode, and there were a few things in that one that I had not caught, so you did a fantastic job. So we've already talked about Disney Plus. Let's just jump into that. The first I heard about it actually came from DuckTalks.
Yeah, so it was a brilliant marketing idea by Disney Plus, social media, like Twitter account. They just went year by year and posted great like glam poster shots of all of the content that is going to be on Disney Plus, presumably at launch. And wow, is there a lot? And you know what? This is a time where they want everybody to be active and leave the house. And I'm just trying to figure out, am I going to leave the couch starting November 12th? But then I was like, you know what? I'm going to get off the couch at some point, and this is a mobile service, so I can stream it from anywhere, and I can go anywhere I want.
They also released a 3-hour-long YouTube video kind of going over all the different shows that are in the service as well. And if you want to sit down for the long run, you can sit down and watch that. It's a 3-hour run through, but you can skim through.
Yeah, and some of the shows were obviously they've told us about them before, but then there were new shows that weren't even on the Netherlands free preview, such as Bonkers wasn't on there. I know there's at least one Bonkers fan out there.
We've heard from them.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm not going to knock it. It's Jim Cummins' Disney afternoon show, and I'm definitely going to look forward to watching that. Also, The Many Adventures of Gummy Bears, where the Disney afternoon started, is going to be on the service as well. I know a lot of people were excited about that one.
A lot of great classic Disney movies too. I remember growing up watching the Apple Dumpling Gang Rides Again over and over again. There's some really good ones on there that I'm looking forward to giving another try, maybe sharing with the girls.
Wait, is that the second Apple Dumpling Gang?
Yeah, that's the second one. Both of them are listed on Disney Plus.
So you watched the second one, but not the first one?
I've seen the first one. I just don't remember it as much.
Okay.
I don't know why. And I'm curious to find out why, because it's the one that stands out to me when I think about those movies. But I haven't seen them since I was little.
Yeah, I used to love watching those movies. Actually, any movie with Don Knotts and Tim Conway were so funny back in the day when we were watching those. But now I need to rehash and watch those now.
You're going to get an opportunity after November 12th.
And then Saludos Amigos and Three Caballeros is going to be on this, which would be great for anybody that maybe hasn't seen those, and they'll see the legend of the Three Caballeros, which was also officially announced again
Finally.
today. Finally. Yeah, I know Matt Danner will be thrilled about that.
Yeah, I think he's tweeted about it all day.
There's also There's also other shows like The Sandlot, classic 90s baseball movie is going to be on this service.
One of my personal favorites.
Rookie of the Year, another one.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Okay,
it's so many great shows and movies that our brains are going to explode from trying to watch it all, and we will watch it all.
Was Mighty Ducks the series on the Netherlands preview?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
That was on there. I'm trying to think of what other ones weren't on there. Quack Pack is on it, and that previously we did not know about that one.
Nobody celebrates.
You know what? I'm going to watch it.
I am too. And I'm serious.
To watch that.
I tweeted, I may binge it. How many episodes are there?
There wasn't that many. I thought Daisy was great in that show.
See, now I don't have to unwrap the DVD that I have.
Yeah.
It's a collector's item now. I just watch it on Disney
Get it
Plus.
signed one day by Tony.
It's 39 episodes.
39 Ooh. Okay.
Oh, okay.
That's a bigger commitment than I thought.
13. Oh, no.
But they're probably half hour long.
Yeah. There were a few missing that we already discussed. There were a few talking specifically about Disney afternoon shows. It was actually a pretty big surprise that Aladdin the series wasn't on there, because the Little Mermaid series is, and Aladdin and the Return of Jafar. And was there a third Aladdin movie on there, or am I mistaken?
Yeah, Aladdin, Prince of Thieves.
That's it.
Is on there.
But the second movie isn't.
I thought Return of Jafar was on there.
That's the second
Oh,
one.
it is.
Yeah.
Just the The series is not on there.
Okay, because that movie kind of leads into the TV series more than the other two.
Yeah, but we kind of expect them to show up later. I mean, there's going to be more content eventually coming on. I mean, they're going to be bringing more stuff on. It's surprising that there's anything left, honestly.
Yeah, and that was. Let me correct myself. That was Aladdin, King of Thieves, for the third movie. But yeah, Little Mermaid series was a Saturday morning, so it was not Disney afternoon. They have Lilo and Stitch, the series, which wasn't Disney afternoon, but another great one that will be on there. Phineas and Ferb, of course, that was already announced. Gravity Falls. I very much want everybody that loves DuckTales to watch Gravity Falls. If you have not seen it, you will fall in love with it, and I guarantee you it will be one of your favorite shows if you have not seen it.
I have not picked up that Blu-ray set yet, and so I'm looking forward to watching it again because I don't have Hulu. I think that's where it's been most recently. And I guess it'll stay on Hulu since they're also going to have a package together.
Another show, not necessarily Disney afternoon, but around the time that it started was The Wuzzles. So I was really hoping that was going to be on there, but that is not going to be on there as of yet. There might be that they need to clean up the episodes a little bit for that one.
That was one thing I noticed with the 3-hour preview. I did not sit down and watch the entire 3-hour preview, but I did like skip around in it just to kind of see some of what was there, and I'm kind of expecting the quality to be the same, and the quality is kind of low in some of those clips. Very anxious to see what we get. Now, I'll tell you one thing. Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, that show looks good. That's like movie quality.
Well, I think those got a HD transfer, didn't they?
They did. I think are they the only Disney afternoon show that got that treatment?
I think so.
Yeah, if you, and I should have like time-stamped it so I could tell you when, but if you come across, of course it's all date, it's the same way as the tweets were, it's by date, by year, it's chronological. So if you go to it, it looks really good. It's the best I've ever seen the show. I've never seen the HD version, so this is the first time I've seen it.
House of Mouse wasn't on the list or one of the tweets, but I find that to be a very underrated show that people would love to see. And I know House of Villains, we have that on DVD, and that was the Halloween special for House of Mouse, which they play all the classic Halloween episodes of the animated shorts and even a couple of new ones that are up to par with the old ones. So hopefully that will get released at some point. Maybe not this Halloween because Disney Plus wouldn't have launched yet, but maybe by next Halloween.
Yeah, maybe they're holding off on some things like that. But I saw Hocus Pocus and Halloween Town were on there.
It'd be cool if maybe during the seasons that they have like a playlist of Halloween stuff. Like maybe you could go to a Halloween screen and it'll have all the Halloween episodes of the shows or movies related to Halloween or villains or such.
I'm on board with that. I'm hoping that the interface has a lot of suggestions because, that it does a good job of like narrowing down suggestions for you, because otherwise there's going to be a lot of content I'm never going to see just because I'll be watching the stuff that I'm looking for. So it'd be cool if there's something to suggest things like that.
Well, they own part of Hulu, and I'm sure they're going to integrate with some of that technology into their systems. I'm sure there's going to be something like that.
Yeah, because you've watched DuckTales, watch The Simpsons 30 seasons.
And I wonder how long it would take to binge all of The Simpsons.
Oof.
I mean,
well, yeah. Good news is you probably only really need to do the first 13, and then you probably stop.
And
or you know what? Yeah, the Halloween ones. You can just do all the Treehouse Halloween of Horror episodes.
That was definitely a tradition for Halloween when I was a kid. I haven't watched those in forever. Sandlot. I can't wait for people to be introduced to the Sandlot who haven't seen it before.
I feel like your girls will love it.
The Sandlot?
Yeah.
I have it on VHS, DVD, and Blu-ray.
Wow.
I'm telling you, I love The Sandlot. That's one of my top 10 favorite movies. And I don't have top 10s. So there's a lot to look forward to with Disney Plus. We'll be talking about it over the next few weeks. If there's any other, I mean, even the preview that took place today, they said this is almost everything. So there's still stuff to be announced. There's still stuff we're going to find out about. There's still new content that's being made for the platform. Can't wait for Legend of the Three Caballeros to be out there and for people to get a chance to watch it. I think it's going to be big. Really hope it leads into more content for those characters. So much to look forward to. It's coming. We're almost there. I really wish it was November at this point, but we have Halloween first. We're going to have some fun with that.
Are we all three subscribed?
I am not yet.
Not yet. Come on, Josh.
Well, we're gonna do this probably the Hulu.
Oh, you're waiting on the bundle.
Yeah, that wasn't available yet, so.
Yeah, I'm sure that's going to be available at launch, or maybe around Black Friday they'll offer some deal kind of like Hulu did. It was like 99 cents or something at one point.
Oh man. Okay, so breaking news as we're talking about it. Disney Schedules on Twitter just tweeted that Gravity Falls will be leaving Hulu starting tomorrow. So it'll only be on Disney Plus. Breaking news. Shout out to Disney Schedule Archive. They do a good job. I obviously have notifications on for them.
It's funny about them. They said something about the Legend of Three Caballeros. Is this a big deal or something? And I know Matt Danner responded, yeah.
Well, I retweeted it with a response saying, I think I know a few people.
Right.
So I think it's going to be big. At least it was before it released.
Oh, it will be.
It will be. All right, let's take a look at some Duck merch because we have something fun we want to kind of do here at the end. Spoiler warning: we're not going to talk about an episode of DuckTales this week. No review. We'll do that next week with Time Foom. And I'm going to leave you in suspense as we cover Duck merch. This was a fun story. So I don't remember what night this was, or what day. There was one day we had I got a notification of someone following us, and it was a company called Happy Feet. And I pulled it up, and they had they make like lounge shoes. What do you call these? I don't know what you call them. House slippers. House slippers. Yeah. So they and they have the Disney license, and so I sent a screenshot of it to Pirate, and I was like, I think somebody's going to be making some DuckTales stuff. So we've been looking around on their website. Pirates found some really cool Donald and Daisy house slippers that this company has made. So we thought we'd tell everybody about them.
Yeah, I'm trying to become best friends with them. Just so we like to review stuff on our website and our blog and let everybody know about it in our part of our Duck merch segment of the show. And just to do a throwback since it's our anniversary, our very first sponsor or company that allowed us to review products for them was Sun Stashes. And they were a company that I originally found out from Shark Tank. They had an episode where they were showcasing their products on it, and I had found out they were having DuckTales Sun Stashes made. So I contacted the company, made best friends with them, and they sent us a set of all their DuckTales Sun Stashes, which are awesome, by the way. But just to tie it in with Happy Feet, they also appeared on Shark Tank a few seasons ago and showcased their product, and now they're a pretty big deal now. So they have got a hold of a bunch of different licenses like Disney, Pixar, Marvel, and a lot of the sports teams as well. And they make these really fun slippers, and the characters on the slippers are huge. It's almost like you're sticking your feet into a plush animal. Is all I can. We don't have them, so we got to describe them like that. But they look really comfortable. I've stepped on plush all over my kids' rooms.
And they
And you
would
know what?
make-
I didn't complain.
Yeah.
It's like stepping on a Lego.
Looking
yeah.
at the picture of these, I mean, most of the time you see slippers in a department store or a retailer, they look off model. They don't look right. These look really good just from the pictures.
You look like full-size plush.
Yeah.
So they have they have a Donald. As far as Disney Duck stuff goes, they have a Donald Duck one, a Donald Duck from Disney Emoji Blitz, which is pretty cool that they have that license as well. And they have another line called Zlip. I don't know I'm gonna say it wrong, but Zlippers, which are they sell you. You get two of the bottoms of the slipper. And a couple of different designs that you can like zip to make that the top design. If you want to mix and match and try a bunch of different designs, you can customize your own slippers. I thought that's a cool concept that they had going on there. So they have a couple of different Donald Duck slippers designs and also Daisy Duck slippers. And I'm glad we gotten in touch with these people because they're a lot of fun stuff on their website. It's buyhappyfeet.com if you want to check out their whole line. I saw a Captain Hook pair that I got my eyes on. Maybe I'll treat myself to that for Christmas or something.
There's Steamboat Mickey as well.
Steamboat Mickey, yeah. Actually, the first time I saw these, and they've been out a long time, but I was looking at pictures from the D23 Expo from the store that they had there, and it had D23 exclusive Sorcerer Mickey slippers that looked like they were flying off the shelves. So,
Oh, wow.
That's another great product they did.
They look good. I can see some of these being under a tree in December in our house. Now these are also in adult sizes, correct?
Yeah, that's the cool part because usually when we find any kind of Disney Duck apparel, it's all right. Your kids can wear this, or here's the kid sizes: small, medium, and large. But no adult sizes like costumes in adult sizes or T-shirts or. We know a lot of people when the Target had the DuckTales socks, they were able to stick their feet in the kids sizes.
The large fit comfortably. If you have a small foot.
But these go all the way from toddler all the way to women and men's adult sizes. So very cool stuff. People check them out.
Before we get into the literature, because we've got some books and some comics coming out, before we do that, let's take a look at figures. First one that I have on the list, because there's been a few. Actually, let's go in order. Let's look at the Trick or Treat collectible figurine set. Now, this was released as an exclusive. Was that D23 when these first came out?
Yeah, D23 had them, and then they popped up on Shop Disney UK.
So do you have to buy them through Shop Disney UK?
No, because then they went to Shop Disney US.
Oh, there you go.
But I think they're like a limited edition of 1,100 only. So they are a bit on the pricey side at $150. But from Eric did a review for us of them. You can check it out on our blog. And they look like they're a really nice size for these, and they have some light up features for Witch Hazel's pumpkin. Really great. But for $150, I'm gonna have to see if they go on sale after Halloween or something. But I love that. Y'all know that's my favorite Donald Duck animated short. So if they do go on sale, I'll definitely be looking at them.
They look good. They definitely look good. The light up feature, he's got a picture on this blog showing it off. It looks really good. I like it. Bit pricey for me, and but let me know when you get yours.
No, well, yeah. So I settled, and I say settled like these aren't pricey at all either. But Funko Shop had the Huey, Dewey, and Louie pop figures that everybody knows I collect, and I know you guys collect them too, and a lot of people out there do, and they're actually still available, which surprises the hell out of me because I was on that website. I had to make sure I was on it the second they went on sale, and I had to get in a queue to get them because I was that paranoid that I was going to miss out on these. And they are definitely and I probably have hundreds of these Funko Pop figures, but I would have to say they are probably at the top of what I feel like are the highest quality and something that looks great in my house, especially during Halloween, is these three Huey, Dewey, and Louie Trick or Treat Funko Pops. I think now that was at the top of my wish list. I feel like something I didn't think Funko would make that now they make. So now I'm going to challenge them to see if they will make Mickey, Donald, and Goofy from Lonesome Ghost.
Oh, that'd be a good one.
It may be any of the ghosts from that short, because that's my next thing that they haven't made. I would love to see them make more of the characters from Trick or Treat, like Witch Hazel or Donald with a candy dish, or the ogre from that from the Carl Barks comic. I think any of those would be great additions to the Trick or Treat ones, but they're still available. They're $45 for the set of three, so $15 a piece, which is about at par of what the Funko Pops sell of exclusives on Funko Shop, or a convention exclusive would be $15 as well. So definitely don't sleep on them, because eventually they won't be available.
Still haven't given up on these. I may still buy them. We'll see. Finally on figures, we have the New York City Comic Con Fireman Donald Funko Pop was released. It was last week, right? Like last Friday? Yes.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of fun getting these. This was one that I had on my list for a while as soon as we found out about it. And I was actually in Orlando, and I saw Pirate's tweet that he'd gone through and picked the very best one he could find in Orlando. So I was like, all right, Pirate, where's another Barnes & Noble? I'm not getting seconds.
No, you got my seconds. I sent you the same one.
Did you really?
Totally did, yeah. Dude, you think Barnes & Nobles are still Nobles? Barnes & Nobles are like plentiful? I mean, there's a couple of them.
Well, and from the image that I see of your pop, you definitely got the best one. These were a little rough on the axe.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's a paint job, and I'm glad I went to a physical store, because you never know what you're going to get paint job wise or box wise when you order them from the store. And I like getting them. I like getting something that we could review quickly for the site. So I went in the morning. It didn't look like there was a high demand for the Barnes & Noble exclusives. They had 38 in the store. They're still available online. I just checked if you're interested in this. And I think they're available at discounts now if you have any Barnes & Noble discount codes. But it is $15, and it is Donald Duck in his Fireman gear from the comic Fireman Donald from a Carl Barks story, which is really cool because it has Donald in the Carl Barks story. Donald wears a black sailor suit, and it was cool to have something from the comics. We've been diving headfirst in the comics all year, and this is a good memento from our reading.
Yeah, that was one of the things that drew me to this figure specifically, because Fireman Donald has been one of my favorite Barks stories, with him and the nephews and them trying to help out and all the shenanigans that take place. It's a great story. So I really like the figure. It quickly went on the shelf and not in the box of I need to display. So it's still out for me to look at.
Hooray.
We've got some releases. So first release in books has already come out. It's already available. You can get a copy now. You can actually get a digital copy right away. The Disney A Christmas Carol starring Uncle Scrooge has been published by Dark Horse Comics. And their description says, celebrate the holiday spirit in this adaptation of Charles Dickens' classic ghost story. Of course, everyone listening to this probably knows the classic story, so I won't rehash that. But it was a really great deal. It was John over on Twitter asked us if we knew that it had been released. And if you go over to, I've got the link right here. If you go over to Dark Horse's website, it is currently available for $5.99. Now, I believe that is the digital version. I'm going to click that and just make sure. But I believe that's the digital version. You can read this for yourself. I've already seen some people online talking about it. And $5.99, I mean, should be a good read.
Yeah, the Dark Horse comics have been doing a really great job this year with different Disney, Donald Duck, and Mickey comic books that have been like adapted from traditional stories like Hamlet and Frankenstein and Don Quixote. So
Moby Dick, that was another one.
Moby Dick, and there was another one, Treasure Island, I think.
Dracula, did you see that one?
Yeah, there was a Dracula.
Well, yeah, so they've been knocking it out of the park with those. I would definitely check those out.
Great buy. We've also, IDW, of course, has been publishing comics for Disney as well. And this week, probably before this episode airs, but before this episode's released, you should be able to get a hold of DuckTales Silence and Science Issue 2. We'll have some blogs out this week with Pirates anxious to share the covers with you. We've already seen them. They look amazing. He's been waiting on that. And then we'll also have our review and preview out earlier this week as well, for those of you who are listening now. But next, let's see, on October 30th, IDW will be releasing Disney Afternoon Giant number 7. And remember, this series will be ending with issue 8. So only a couple of issues left, and it's every other month. So we get one in October, we'll get another one in December or January. Seems like that got pushed back. Anyway, we'll check on that.
I haven't seen any. I'm looking at the Disney Plus announcements right now while you're talking.
Uh-huh.
I don't see Mickey's Christmas Carol on here.
Yeah, the some of the Christmas specials that have been on Netflix are on there, and it's in one of those.
Yeah, so it might just not be the standalone release. It's probably included with one of the other.
Yeah, I can't remember what those holiday specials were called. We actually covered them in one of our podcasts. But yeah, I think I saw it on there. The one that it's in.
Yeah. I saw one. I think it's Mickey's Once and Twice Upon a Christmas.
That's them. Yeah. Also this month in book releases on October 29th, The Complete Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck Volume 2 will be released. And for those of you who have patiently waited for the dual release Volume 2 with Volume 1 in the slipcase, that will also be released on the same date. So you are almost there. And of course we have that Pirate did a blog for October releases, and there's some links there. And of course those links support DuckTalks, because we're part of Amazon's affiliate program. So if you'd like to support the podcast and the website, it's a good way to do it. If you're already going to buy stuff, it doesn't cost you anything any extra.
Yeah, we usually tell you to buy all the Fantagraphics library editions of Don Rosa and Carl Barks, but this especially applies to The Complete Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck Volume 1 and 2, because it is some of the best, and I've read almost all of the Carl Barks library and Don Rosa and so many other comics this year, but it's just on another level of any literature I've ever read. And I know all of our Disney Duck people out there would love to read the Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck, and it'd make a great movie if they ever did. But you should definitely read these books for yourself to see why we're talking about them so much.
Yeah, and before this release, the cheapest we could find it was like $100 on an old trade paperback copy. Just your regular old trade paperback. This is a nice hardbound copy that's large pages. It's let me tell you, it's really nice. And if you get an opportunity to meet Don Rosa with the Life and Times, I can tell you from experience, he can't wait to sit down and flip through it. You'll have a great time if you take this book with you to meet him. Volume 2, out on October 29th. And last piece of Duck merch, I'm just scrolling back up to make sure I didn't know. I have missed. Donald Duck, Christmas in Duckburg. This is Volume 21 of the Carl Barks Disney Library. Is out on... It's already out. No, when's it out?
Yeah, it was out last week.
It is already out. Okay, I thought so.
Yeah, and it's another great one. Plenty of stories. Carl Barks does a great job of telling the Disney Ducks at Christmas stories. This one has a great one in it. But also they had, at the very end, there was a pleasant surprise. They had 4 different Grandma Duck stories. And like I said in my review of this volume 21, they have a story that Carl Barks did where Dumbo and Brer Fox are in it with Huey, Dewey, and Louie and Grandma Duck. So it was an interesting mashup, to be sure. I love me some Brer Fox, and I thought that was cool that he was in it. But this is volume 21. When Fantagraphics is completely done with this library and series, it will be 30 volumes. So there's quite a bit to go. And then they have to go back and do volumes 1 through 4, which they skipped. They started off strong with volume 5, which is Christmas on Bear Mountain, when Scrooge McDuck makes his first appearance.
Yeah, those have been a great collection, and they're still available. You can find them on Amazon. You can find them in local bookstores sometimes. And they're really great quality. Blows me away. On October 31st, this is the last thing we have for the month, the Morgana Happy Halloween 2019 pin will be released in both Disneyland and Walt Disney World.
Yeah, and that was a great surprise because we thought it was going to be Disneyland exclusive. So they're going to share a limited edition of 5,000 across both coasts. So each one will probably get 2,500 each. And I would totally recommend getting it either if you are lucky enough to be by the resort, or if you have they have a lot of personal shopper services or different auction sites you can pick them up at. Usually around the same price when you consider shipping and all that other stuff. But Morgana doesn't appear on much merchandise, so I would. I think we don't do pins, right?
No, I don't do pins.
We don't do pins. We don't do pins.
I was very discouraged.
We probably will buy this one, but we don't do pins.
Yeah. I mean, it's Darkwing Duck merchandise in 2019. I mean, you can't pass that up.
Yeah, classic Morgana. I mean, that's definitely, if you have Morgana on your pin lanyard, it's definitely going to stand up.
That's a lot of merchandise for October.
Yeah.
And none of it was DuckTales 2017. We need more DuckTales 2017 merchandise.
Yeah. I mean, even the other thing that might come out in October is the DuckTales Munchkin game. We don't know the official release date on that, but again, that is classic OG DuckTales. The next thing that will get released will be the Gizmo Duck DuckTales 2017 figure by Fat Mojo. We just don't have a date on it yet. You would think that Shop Disney would have some kind of Christmas stuff with Scrooge or the boys for DuckTales 2017
ornaments,
on the website,
stockings, pajamas.
Oh, that's the other thing. That's the other thing that came out this month was the Hallmark ornament.
Oh yeah,
of the lunch box and thermos that we all wish was real size. Hallmark, just make a real size one. Come on.
It's cracking me up, all the people commenting on, I thought it was a real one, life size or real size.
So that 2 ornament set was starting to appear in stores on October 5th. So if you really need to have it before Christmas, I would get it now. But you could also probably get it 50% off after Christmas.
True. Well, it's funny how, looking back over the last couple of years, we've seen just all this merchandise start to show up with Disney Afternoon. I mean, even this past week, and we've not talked about this, there are reports of new Chippendale Rescue Rangers clothing and like handbags and stuff inside the parks. Even we were talking before we started recording, there's a Dale button-up shirt, Hawaiian shirt. It has Rescue Ranger logo on it that has been released, that's out there. And it's so great that all this stuff has just started to flood. I mean, who would have thought we'd have all this merchandise? I guess we all have expendable income now. We're old enough that they can market to us.
Yeah, we wouldn't have been able to afford it if we were kids when this came out, but now we can afford it.
Right.
It's unbelievable how much classic Disney Afternoon stuff is out there. Maybe because Disney Plus is coming and they know people are gonna see it. Maybe they know other things are coming. Who knows? But it's exciting.
Yeah, I feel like there's been a lot of attention brought on the Disney Afternoon in the last few years. And, as we've spoken with different people around it, both in the fandom and those who are maybe collectors or, involved, they've all said, there's more attention on it now. People are noticing that there's a market for it, that it's popular. All the way back to the Joe Books comics. And I for the life of me, I can't remember when those books first came out. Not Joe Books, Boom, the Kaboom Studios or Boom Studios. Those were like early 2000, right? Does that sound right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, really just in the last 20 years, it's a lot longer time than I thought, but in the last 20 years, it's gained attention. And for us, I mean, that's what happened with us. And we're transitioning right now into talking about our 2-year anniversary and just where DuckTalks has come from. But, I don't think we can have this conversation without also talking about Disney Infinity, because especially for you guys, I mean, that's how you guys originally met, and it's how I met you guys too. But I thought, if we're going to talk about the anniversary of DuckTalks, we ought to talk about maybe how we got to know each other, because it's funny. I've spoken with a few people online and in person over the last few weeks about the podcast and the website, and they're like, "Wait a minute, you don't live near one another?" I was like, "No, we're as far apart as we can be." Well, I guess I could live a little more north, but why don't you guys tell a little bit about the history of your involvement with Disney Infinity and how you guys met?
I'll go first.
Josh is already crying. It's so cute.
Crying. Little tears sucking it back in my eye. All right. Well, actually, I was a little bit involved in Disney Infinity 1. I had submitted boxes, but none of them got featured. But I had known of Pirate from the contest they have every week, where you can submit a toy box that's whatever their theme of the week was, and they picked the 5 best toy boxes and then kind of gave them out to everybody. And so I was involved in trying to be a part of that contest, and I had spoken with him on an online forum that was dedicated to Disney Infinity at the time, and so I knew of him. I kind of had some dealings with him, and then it wasn't until Disney Infinity 2.0 came out where we had saw that there was a Toy Box Summit where they invited all of the contestants and the top contestants all over the world, and we're like, oh, we've got to go to that thing. And so me and my wife had really kind of studied everybody's the winning designs and different toy boxes, and so we had really, I guess, tried to improve our type of building aspect as much as possible. And then we started getting featured more and more in Disney Infinity 2.0, and that's when I had during 2.0 I had dealings where I was talking to Pirate Steve and some of the other toy box artists at the time, and I got invited to go to the second Toy Box Summit, where I met Steve for the first time and a lot of the other toy box artists all over the world, and that's where I got to know him better, and we became friends from there. And I've been talking to him ever since. And I think that summit was about 4 years ago now. And so I've known Steve for quite a long time. And then I got still involved throughout Disney Infinity 3.0, and then that's kind of how I met with you, because you kind of came on towards the end of Disney Infinity 3.0.
Yeah, that was a good recap, but you forgot one thing. at the Toy Box Summit, the second one, me and Josh and his wife Michelle and our friend Nick and Frank and our friend Patrick were on the same team, and we actually won the whole thing, which was really exciting. And one of the grand prize was they were going to put us in a video game. We were going to be a character in the video game. And unfortunately, before they had entered that code into the game, they canceled the series. So that was the most devastating thing in my life. But it was the whole thing with Disney Infinity was a complete blast. It's something that I from the get-go, when they first announced it in 2013, I became obsessed with, and just studied online and kind of like I do with DuckTales. I get all the information because I live on the internet first, and I get it out there like I did in that forum that Josh talked about. But that it's kind of like DuckTalks is kind of the passion I put behind Disney Infinity. I kind of adapted, and it's good that DuckTalks and DuckTales came when it did, because I had all this free time now that Disney Infinity wasn't there anymore. And I was able to use that and put that towards this new podcast and this and the blog and hanging out with you guys. So it was a good outlet to switch from Disney Infinity to DuckTalks. I thought it was a great transition. And we met. Josh and I met Mitch from online. We were kind of there's several of the master Disney Infinity artists that were like ambassadors of the community online that answered questions for the developers on how to build the toy boxes. And we met Mitch through that because Mitch had trouble with an Apple TV that he was trying to hook up for Disney Infinity. They got a little bit of attention online in the Twitter community. So we'll let Mitch take it from there.
Yeah. So, man, when I first heard about Disney Infinity, I thought that's the best idea I've ever heard of. Why would you keep putting out mediocre games with movies and shows and stuff? Why not just have a platform that you can build from and just add that stuff to it? I thought it was great. And then the thought of being able to put these different characters together and to be able to play around in a toy box, amazing. I did not have a video game system at the time. I'd been out of video games for a long time, just didn't have the time. I don't even think I had anything on my phone at the time that I was playing, but it really appealed to me, but it wasn't the right time for me to get involved. And then, of course, with the girls, I was like, hey, let's pull out the old Nintendo 64 or the PlayStation 2, which I did still have in the attic, and try to play these. And they never, they were too young. The games they weren't for them, and they didn't enjoy them, so they weren't into it. So I never could get the video game system into the Christmas or anything like that until Apple announced their Apple TV, and we were already thinking about getting into doing streaming instead of a cable package. And I found out, I thought I was already looking at it, and then it was announced that Disney Infinity 3.0 would be released on the Apple TV, and I ordered it right off the bat. Like, I pre-ordered it. It came with a controller, and I can't remember if I had to buy the game separate. I guess I did as an app. But and then I started looking on Amazon or eBay and found some of the old figures, the 2.0 figures and the 1.0 figures, and bought a few of them, put them all in a box, put it all under the tree. And so Christmas of that year, we opened it up and we got it out and we played and we enjoyed it. Now, we weren't big on the toy box stuff as far as building in the beginning, and then come to find out that the Apple TV was a little more limited than all the other systems. So I ran into a few issues here and there with playing different toy boxes, and that's where I was bugging them. I was like, hey, well, why can't I go any further in your toy box? And they were like, oh, that's because it's the Apple TV. It won't let you go to any further in that one because it doesn't have enough space or whatever. And so anyway, I still loved it. Loved playing the game, and I was trying to learn how to build some simple toy boxes for the girls so that they could play games, and came across a podcast that Pirate was a part of, and he was on sometimes. And then I think I ended up on the message boards that you guys were on and everything, and so I'd spoken with you guys a few times, but it was when Disney Infinity dropped support for the Apple TV out of nowhere. Like that next holiday season, I think it was Christmas. Or no, it wasn't Christmas. It was just the next something was going on. And they were releasing Marvel and Baloo and all this stuff. And I guess I can't tell that without saying that was during the time that Lexi was going through the hardest part of her illness. And for her, she couldn't play. And if you've ever seen a kid that can't play, it just absolutely breaks you. And she was having trouble. Wasn't able to, but she could sit in my lap and I could hold her and she could play games and play Disney Infinity. And then when they just pulled the plug on it and I had all these figures ready to surprise her with, I was a bit shocked. And the community around Disney Infinity was very supportive of us and reached out to us and was talking with people at Disney Interactive and everything. And some things worked out for us, and we decided to go ahead and invest in a PlayStation 4. And so I bought a used one that's still running. I got a good deal on the thing. Bought a used one and started playing, and that's that was kind of the story of how we got involved. And I got to meet these guys because they're just super people, and I was really just blown away at these people I'd never met because it had been years since I'd been involved in any kind of online community, and just their outpouring of, hope everything works out and sorry. And just things that's small that we should do for one another. But sometimes you don't expect it. Anyway, everybody was awesome. And we became friends through that. And then when Disney Infinity ended, kind of abruptly, we were all left trying to figure out what we were going to do next, and we played Overwatch for a while and had a lot of fun with Overwatch, and still something I'd love to play. I just don't have time. Halloween stuff comes out this week, guys. But yeah, we started doing that, but during all those conversations and stuff, anytime there was talk of a new Disney Infinity release or anything, there was a group of us that were always like, Darkwing Duck and Scrooge McDuck and Baloo from Tailspin. We need a costume change disc so we can have Baloo from Tailspin instead of just regular Baloo, and all of that. And that just kind of solidified our friendship to where anytime there was any talk of Darkwing Duck, we were messaging each other about, hey, did you hear about this? And there's this coming out. Have you ever read these comics? And that's where our conversation started, and we realized that we had this in common. And so when DuckTales was announced, we started talking about that.
We were so close to getting a Darkwing Duck figure.
Oh, you'll have no idea how hard I fought for Darkwing Duck. We'll tell that story, I'm sure, one day. But another cool side story is a lot of people that worked on the toy boxes, the master artists for the video game would collaborate with other ones on these contests. And I think one of the first ones that I collaborated with Josh on was a Darkwing Duck challenge that I believe we were in the top 5 with it, but it was definitely a cool concept. He worked on part 1 and I worked on part 2, and he built Saint Canard, and his story was more of his video game story, and the game revolved around which one was it? Was you did Steelbeak, right?
Yeah, Steelbeak, and we both did a big old block art thing, and I'm trying to remember it now, but I did Steelbeak, and I think maybe Bushroot too.
Yeah, you did Steel Beacon Bush Root, and I did the Liquidator and Megavolt, and then the very end finale was Negaduck. But it was really cool. We had different, like, you could really do a good storytelling version of this, and he did the Hungry Hippo, the hamburger place, and it was a fun toy box to work on, and it was kind of adventurous where they had multi parts, so you could play one and then this makes you want to play part two and stuff. So it was a fun toy box if anybody out there got to play it or has it downloaded somewhere.
I think I have that one downloaded. Yeah,
I think I do too. That we should do a playthrough of it. Yeah.
I stayed up all night that last night downloading as many boxes as I could come across. Especially from certain builders that I wanted to make sure I had. That was something I was never good at with Disney Infinity, and I would build just simple boxes for the girls to just like open world so they could run around and play. But the first box that the first competition that I was going to enter into was the last one, the one with the I think it was Toy Story themed with the playset from 1.0. Seems like that was the criteria. Like, it was supposed to be something that had to do with the earlier stuff, and it was mainly focused for people who were new. And I had built, I still have it on my PlayStation. I was working on a lot of the, I was not good with all the logic gates and everything, but I was working on that one when the game was canceled. And I was like, there's just no point in this now. My family and I were actually fans of your all's toy boxes. And I know I've mentioned this a few times online. Pirate had some of the best soccer toy boxes out there.
Yeah, there were some of the easiest. Soccer boxes were some of the easiest to make. You threw the soccer template down there, and then you theme the heck out of it and put a story around it, which towards the end there was a Jungle Book challenge, and I'd already done a Jungle Book toy box. I believe I got first place in the original challenge. And then another one came up, and you know what? I said, there's not enough Jungle Book soccer games out there. So I themed a soccer level from that, and then I did a Zootopia one.
That Zootopia one was a lot of fun. I spent a lot of time in that one. And then I Josh, him and Michelle, I think Michelle worked with you on the Tangled one. Is that correct?
Yeah, she worked with, I think, almost all of the ones that we did. Okay. Yeah, she was really good at designing everything, and I was the guy who did all the logic for the toy box. And so she would design it, I'd be working on the logic the whole time, and then she would finish it, and I'd still be working on the logic the whole time. And then I would finish it up, and then I would just play test it about 50 times and make sure it didn't break, because half the time it broke until as you were going along, you'd have to just fix it and make sure that there was no way it would break, because sometimes it would be done right, the game would glitch, and you just got to make sure you work around those little issues. And so she was really good at what she did, and then I just kind of made everything work right, so it worked out pretty good for us.
That toy box was one of Lexi's favorites, and I know I've told you that in the past. She played that. That's kind of that, because you had some platforming in that, and that was like some of the first me trying to teach her how to get across from one platform to the next by rotating the camera and all that. Anyway, she played that box a lot, trying to beat. There was a timer on it, I believe. Trying to find everything and.
The one that we built, you had to try to find all the little flowers.
Yep, that was
in there, and
you randomized them too.
Yeah, yeah.
So it wasn't always the same, and that's why she enjoyed it. But anyway, for us, it was kind of funny. I remember the first time that I actually got to meet Pirate. We met in Orlando, and we were at Disney Springs, and Lexi. You would have thought she was meeting the biggest celebrity because she was meeting Pirates. I mean, the only thing that would have gotten her more starry-eyed would have been if Disney Dan had been there.
Yeah, she told me that too. She said, "You know Disney Dan?" I was like, "Yeah, I do." Thanks.
But she she had played the boxes and had seen you on what was the show? I can't think of it now. The weekly show.
Inside Infinity, or
well, not the not the podcast. The one actually that showed up in the game. That
Toy Box TV.
Toy Box TV. So there was some stuff where you were on there, competitions and stuff, and your name and everything, and then of course as I was trying to work through things and I was reading posts on the forum and stuff, she heard your name a lot, so it was funny. And then like I said, we thanked Josh and Michelle for their box back when she was playing it, but yeah, that's how our friendship started, and it's really cool because it's a genuine friendship among the three of us. And I mean, I talk with you guys more than I do most of my friends that I see more often. Josh, I've never actually met in person. We're gonna fix that one of these days.
Yeah, I'm the farthest away from you guys. I'm all the way in California, so it's good. We have a good range. I feel like being where we're at located, like I can hit all the Disneyland stuff, Steve can hit the Disney World stuff, and then Mitch, you're hitting all the cons that are like up in the area that we can't go to, and so we have a good like range that covers everything.
Yeah, it's worked for us. With the podcast, when we first started talking about it, I didn't think I would do it. Like, it was one of those things where I've wanted to do one for a while, but I was like, I just don't know that I can devote the time, and I don't know that I'd be able to do it. I stutter a lot sometimes, and I just don't know that I want to put myself out there like that. And then one day I just went for it, and I was like, hey, Pirate, we talk about DuckTales. What would you think if we did a podcast? And he's like, I'm ready to go when you are. And so we did. And on October 13th, 2017, it was probably 3 weeks of editing. I don't remember. That's when we put out the first episode. And I told you when we got started, I was like, dude, I'm kind of nervous, and I don't know that I'm doing this right on the computer. You may have to carry this thing.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
I was like, I don't know if you knew what you were getting into, but I may not say a word. But it was good. I don't listen to that episode, and I try to beg people when they find our podcast not to. But I mean, that's the beginning. It was October 13th, 2017, and we had a good time. By the third episode, you were on a vacation, and I think that's when Josh joined me, kind of as a fill-in. Because Josh was excited about us doing it, and we were telling him about it, but we were still trying to figure things out, and I was like, I don't know that I want to ask him to commit to anything. And so he came on the third episode, and then on the fourth episode, you were back from your cruise. We talked about the cruise because that was like a new cruise. Yeah,
it was one of the new ships.
Yeah, so that was really cool. And then on our fifth episode, hiatus. It was our fifth episode that we were talking about the show going on hiatus. And that's also when we did our Extra Life Game Day stream. And Josh was with us for that too.
Yeah, and this is when we've realized we were really good at hiatuses and and filling the gap between the episodes, because it also helped us develop. We were really good at talking about the show, and that was kind of our thing. But then once you are able to master talking about something is when you can start adding additional things. And I feel like at that point is when we decided we were going to start talking about duck merch, and we were going to also add, we're not just going to be a DuckTales podcast. We're going to talk about all of the Disney afternoon.
Yeah, we got an episode in December that broke up the hiatus that we got to talk about. But otherwise, it was all merchandise. We were talking about mystery minis. Remember when that rollout came?
Oh, the mystery minis.
Yeah.
They need to do a series 2 of this.
And then Josh joined me, episode 8. That was our first discussion about comics, and talking about the reboot getting its own comic. And then by episode 10, we were already in January of 2018.
I remember the first few episodes you did with Josh, and you're like, Pirate, we talked like for 2 hours.
We did. We talked all night. And I'd have to try to edit it down.
I I like to ask questions, and then it just keeps going on that, and then we're like, oh, let's get back to what we're talking about.
Yeah, he likes to ask questions, and I like to talk, and it just kept going. So, and then I thought this was funny as I was looking over our episodes. Episode 11, I titled it "The Guys versus the New Segment." And that was the very first time we named Frankly Speaking, because in the beginning we would just say, oh, and Frank said this over on Tumblr or on Twitter. And then we were like, you know what? We keep talking about what Frank says so much. We need to like make a segment and just like off the cuff right then and there. We ought to just call it Frankly Speaking. And I was like, that's perfect. And when, not if, but when Frank Angones joins us for an episode of the podcast, that podcast episode will be called Frankly Speaking with Frank Angones.
Yeah, and from that point, the blog started to take off, and do quite well. And you know, I to be honest, at the beginning, I was not really interested in doing articles because they take a lot of time, you know. But then it started to take off, and just like for the Disney Infinity toy boxes, you could see your stats, and it'll tell you how many times your toy box was downloaded or played. Well, in WordPress, I started seeing our stats go up with how many views something we would write would get, and then it made it seem like it was more worth our time. So we started doing toy reviews and just general articles on different Disney afternoon stuff and DuckTales stuff, and it really took off. And then I feel like the next big thing we did was we got into the comics. I went to MegaCon, and that's when I met Don Rosa, and like I always tell that story, is I'm the guy that he tries to avoid, that probably doesn't know anything about his stories or anything, but thinks he has cool DuckTales art, which it's not DuckTales art. Don't tell him I said that. Scrooge McDuck and classic Barks, Donald Duck stuff. And I became a huge fan, and I got obsessed with everything about his work. And I researched him online, and that's when I found that they were doing a documentary about him. And then at that point, I immediately contacted the director of that, and he was the first guest of our first interview guest. We had Morgan Jekyll on, and I remember me and Josh asking him, what's your favorite? Do you have any recommendations of what we should read? And he's like, yeah, all of it. And we're like, okay.
Funny. Yeah.
Okay, we'll do that. And we probably, just because I'm that kind of person, probably immediately after we had this great interview with Morgan about the documentary and Don Rosa and all the stories, I probably contacted Fantagraphics, and one of my favorite contacts that we've had and sponsors of our show, they totally were on board with us with reading through the Don Rosa and Carl Barks library and gaining our knowledge through these great books. And that has helped us learn more about the background of these great characters and appreciate them a lot more than we did before we read the comics.
Gave us a huge appreciation, because before we had we really just had DuckTales and then the shorts that we were fans of and the movies that they were involved in. And really the comics, the history there is like it's like a whole new fandom that is kind of connected with the characters, but there's so many great stories and the artwork and the fandom that's there. That's one thing that we've tried to do with DuckTalks, is we didn't want to just be DuckTales. We didn't just want to be Uncle Scrooge. I mean, we're fans of all of this, so we wanted to incorporate as much of it as we could.
Yeah, I probably think we probably sounded like idiots before we had our eyes open, so we got all of the behind the scenes jokes and the Easter eggs and stuff that was in DuckTales 2017. It all made sense after reading through those comic stories, and it made us appreciate it a lot more. And then we finally got to our 1-year anniversary last year, and one of the coolest things I thought we did for our second season launch was we got one of the great people we met through the fandom, Brian Danger, to create our new logo and our personas online to his great art style. And I love our Duck Talks logo, our logo that we've had this past year, and it's made it on the shirts and all this merch. We have our own duck merch now, and mostly we made the merch so we could buy it, but we love that other people are buying it as well and showing up in pictures in conventions and the buttons it's so cool to see out there when we see the Duck Talk stuff.
Yeah, the logo is fantastic. He did such a great job. I actually just sent him a message this week thanking him again and telling him I wore 2 of my shirts while I was in Orlando on Disney property, and I got so many compliments on the shirt all over the place, just and people asking questions about it. And when I had buttons, I was able to give out buttons with the logo. And then I also went to Conapalooza. Conventions have been a great part of doing this as well, but I went up to Kingsport, Tennessee this past weekend to meet Jim Cummings, and the first thing he said when I walked up is he told me my shirt was rad. So I mean, and there were a ton of people there who commented on the shirt and was asking, and I handed out buttons. I love the logo. It's perfect. I even got to tell about the Easter eggs. I don't know if people have looked closely at the shirt or the logo since it first came out, but there's a lot of Easter eggs that kind of go with their personalities. So like Josh, he's got a Waddle phone in his hand, and you've got the Gizmo Duck shirt, right?
Yep.
Yeah, the Gizmo Duck shirt. Josh is very techie, and that definitely fit him. It was really cool. And then Pirate, of course, he got the pirate hat. Had to keep the pirate hat. That's long going. That's just part of his persona now. I kind of let down when I meet him and he doesn't wear the hat.
It's Florida. It's so hot now, But yeah, so and my character has a Darkwing duck shirt, of course, and
you called it first is the only reason why it happened, because all 3 of us wanted it.
It's true. And you know what else I know? So we have Josh in a red shirt and you're in a blue shirt. How perfect would it have been if I had a green shirt? But
had to be purple.
I had to go with purple for Darkwing. It's one of my favorite colors. And then in my hands is my 2 favorite characters from DuckTales 2017. It's their Fat Mojo action figures, and it's Launchpad and Flintheart Glomgold, my 2 faves.
Yeah, and it fits you. You do the majority of our toy reviews, and you're one of the first ones out there looking for the collectibles and stuff. So I mean, it just totally fits. And then on my character, I actually got asked this weekend because I wear my contacts more often nowadays than I was in the last couple of years. But I'm the one with glasses because I do most of the time, sometimes, not most of the time anymore, wear glasses. But I've got a Rescue Ranger shirt because I'm a huge Tad Stones fan. So if I can't wear Darkwing Duck, and I could have, but we wanted to represent all of the Disney or as much of the Disney afternoon as we could. I'm going to be Rescue Rangers. So I had a Rescue Ranger shirt on, and I'm holding a comic book because I really enjoy the current comics and catching up on those, which I'm way behind on right now. I got to get caught up. But it's a big part of my fandom. I grew up all 3 of us grew up reading comics, but I think it fit my personality.
And your comic is also, it has a cover that Brian designed of Iron Man, but as Gizmo Duck.
And that was
from the first Iron Man poster.
Yeah, that was one of the first pieces of art of his that, I mean, I'd seen others and they looked great, but that was the first one that I just sat there and looked at it for a minute and thought, man, this is really, really cool. And when we were talking about the concepts for the characters, because he designed the characters based off some thoughts that we had, and when we were talking about me holding a comic book, he got back with me. He goes, "Hey, what do you think about me using my Gizmo Duck poster for the front of the comic book?" I was like, "Man, I'd be disappointed if you didn't do that now."
Yeah. I remember a conversation he had with this as well. He's like, "So are your characters going to wear pants, or are you going to be like
Yeah.
Duck natural?" And we all kind of like talked to each other like, "Well, what do you want to do?"
There was
pants, or we're going to be naked?
There was never any point where I considered putting on pants for that.
Right.
ones we had created had pants.
What was that?
I said the original ones we created had pants, but then these ones don't. So
they did, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the original logo, of course, is designed by Mitch, and it was you did some photoshopping, and you took our characters from what we made from the Duck Yourself app.
Yeah, so I bought a little cheap tablet, so not like the type that you draw on the screen, but the kind that you sit down in front of your computer and draw. And man, I spent a lot of time just playing around with that, trying to figure out how to make that work, because that took me a little while to wrap my head around it. But I did. I used I think it was called Duck Yourself, and I'm pretty sure I pulled that out of multiple podcasts because I didn't want to say that. But I think that's what it was called. That's what we always refer to it as, so it's staying in this one. But I used the designs. I told the guys, I think Pirate had already made one, and I told Josh, like, pick out what you want from this, and then we'll go from there. And I sat down and drew it from that, and I thought it was pretty good. But when we got ready for that anniversary, I told the guys, I was like, it would be cool to get someone else's artwork. Like, I think I did a good job, but I pick it apart when I look at it. I'd like to see someone else's. I think there's people in the community who do a good job, and as soon as it was said, actually, no, I think I was already thinking that when you suggested we talk to Brian Pirate. I think you brought it up, but I was already thinking
in my head, I was like, I'm getting my own anyway. We commissioned him to do mine, so if you want him to do a logo, let's do it.
Yeah, that's what it was. And he was excellent. And he doesn't have commissions open at the moment, but when he does, get in line, because he does great work. He shared a few the other day, and Frank Angonez, because he had put them on shirts, because he does it for a limited time. He'll put stuff with, characters on a shirt, and he'll only make it available for a very short time and then pull it. And Frank answered in that tweet that he just bought the Gizmo Duck one. And
yeah, and he would buy prints too. So eventually they'll be available. We'll definitely do a blog and let people know when Brian's stuff's available. But thank you again, Brian, for making our logo, because, like you said, compliments whenever we wear the stuff. Mm-hmm. Another good. Shortly after our second season started, is when we got one of our goals. I remember when we started this podcast, we were like, we got to get Tad Stones on our show.
Yes. And
finally, it ended up being our Christmas special that year. We got to talk with Tad, and it was very, very educational and fun. And I mean, when we have guests on, we're usually like, you know what, we'll talk 30 minutes, 45 minutes, but Tad talked to us for 2 hours, and it ended up being a 2-part episode, because he had so much fun with us and talking about everything that we loved. I mean, he could say anything, and we'd be like giggling like a schoolgirl about how awesome it was. So
absolute truth. We were fanboying like crazy.
Oh man, no, fangirling for sure. It was it was definitely one of our greatest shows. Well, we definitely want to have him back on again to talk more, because this is before Darkwing Duck was in the show and before Tad, the security guard, was on the show. So we need to find out more about that character, but it was a pleasure to have him on. That's when we started trying to book other guests on our show, and we started looking up Disney Afternoon people, and I was able to get in contact. And this is a fun thing I would do every day. I'd be like, who can I find in the Disney Afternoon universe? And I got in touch with Brian Cummings, which was a great show. I would definitely recommend looking up that show on the YouTube channel. And we talked all about the characters. He was the original Doofus Drake on OG DuckTales, and he was just so nice and a pleasure to talk to. He told us about all of his current projects and everything that he's done. I was definitely when we started talking about the Wuzzles with him, and he was Bumble Lion on the Wuzzles, and I got to talk to somebody who had all the figures of and this plush, and it was a cool experience for me.
It was a lot of fun talking with Brian. It blew me away how generous he and Tad and others have been with their time and willing to talk with us about it. And man, he was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. Didn't know what to expect. I'd spoken with Tad before on a few occasions, and so, but this was the first time I'd ever spoken with Brian. And I think I've said this on the podcast before. I'm always a little worried because, you know, you just don't know what to expect when you're getting to sit down and talk with these people for the first time. But every single time, every single person has just been the nicest person. They've been just so generous with their time. And we're like, you know, how long are you willing to talk with us? And they're like, as long as you want to talk. We're like, you don't want to say that, but because we'll keep asking and talking. But everybody has been great and just blown me away with their kindness, and that they'd sit and talk with us because I think it's great for our listeners, for those who get to listen to it as well, because, you know, with these people, I constantly look up and try to find other interviews of theirs and listen to those. And so I try to come up with questions that maybe I didn't hear in the other interviews, things that I would want to know so that we can add to, you know, the fans of these character actors, you know, their knowledge of their time doing this specific character, or a specific show or something, just so that we can all gain more and more knowledge of it and have a good time.
Yeah, another voice artist that we had on our show was Katie Lee, which was a pleasure as well. She did Sonny Gummy from the Gummy Bears, Rolf the dog from the original Muppet Babies, and then Honker from Darkwing Duck. And it was another geeking out moment, just listening to her stories, especially with working on Darkwing Duck. And she was extremely nice. And I feel like that we've gotten a lot of great things said about that episode with how nice Katie was and how now big a fan people are listening to those stories.
Yeah, I've had people at work go, "Wait, you've spoken with Katie Lee?" Like, yes, I have. Yeah, it was a pleasure having an opportunity to speak with her, and like Pirate said, super nice. One thing we didn't talk about, we kind of skipped over. You might have forgotten about it. Was that one bonus cast we did in January after the Spider-Verse? We kind of broke protocol and decided we were just going to ditch the whole DuckTales thing for a week. It was in the midst of a break we had planned on taking. We were taking a break for the holidays, and we were going to come back toward the end of January and get back into talking about DuckTales. But I finally got to see Spider-Verse, and I couldn't wait to talk about it. And I was like, why don't we just record that? And that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, our friend Jason was on that show, and he has seen that movie more times than I've seen most movies.
Right.
And it was great to see things or hear about things that I had not seen. So that was another fun bonus thing we did.
The episode before Brian Cummings was titled Hiatus again. So we were into another hiatus. There's a lot of those. I tried to include hiatus in the titles as markers so that we knew what episodes began hiatuses. So there were a few of them. Right after that, our buddy Dan Cunningham joined us. We did like an interview where we talked about the history of the Carl Barks comics, and that was when we transitioned from Don Rosa, which we had done that on our Discord with people. It was kind of a live conversation that we tried, and we had fun doing that, but we wanted to open it up to more people because not everyone uses Discord. And so we had Dan on, and we talked about those books, and that was a lot of fun. He's a wealth of knowledge. He's still one of the first people I turn to on Twitter when I've got a question about anything about Disney Ducks.
Yeah, he totally took us to Disney Duck Comic School, and it was a pleasure going to that school and listening to his stories. Wealth of knowledge for sure.
Yeah, we've had a lot of fun, and we could spend a lot of time on here. We're not gonna drag out the episode too much longer. I think one of the highlights for me, Tad Stones. We said in the very beginning, Tad and Jim being able to talk with Jim Cummings, and then Terry, and we've already got to speak with Katie, and there's just so many people we'd like to talk with. But one that I probably didn't anticipate us doing, and then when you reached out to him, he was so excited about coming on the podcast. And we talked so many times about, can we do it now? Well, let's wait for this. Can we do it now? And we weren't able to get it until it almost became official. But when we got to talk with Matt Danner, man, that was a great conversation. Just a great guy, very passionate, very busy. I mean, he works hard, no doubt, bringing some great content. He had worked on Legend of the Three Caballeros. At that time, it had been quite a while since he had worked on it. But, it's finally come to Disney+. That interview's still out there. That was episode 71 of the podcast. But that was a fun time. It was a fun night.
Yeah, he, of course, he does a lot of the Muppet Babies work. He's the director there, voice of Kermit. Is great to have him on the show. And really to talk about Legends of Three Caballeros, which is such a big fan base out there, and Disney wasn't really talking about it. So it was good to be able to, for him, a good release for him as well, to be able to talk about all the work that he has put into that show, and we just hope that everybody takes the time to watch it on Disney Plus, so that they can make a second season. Speaking of great directors, we also had Victor Cook on the show.
Yes, that was one that I was excited to be able to get, because I'd been following Victor online. And when we reached out to him, he was like, yeah, I'd love to talk about Darkwing Duck. It was just amazing time.
Yeah, and we talked about Spider-Man a lot as well on that one.
Not on Disney Plus at the moment.
Come on now. Every other Spider-Man show though is on there,
right?
But not spectacular.
That I would love to have that on there. So many people need to see that show.
Well, the Blu-rays are still available on Amazon. The complete series, usually a good price, but I digress. We do have a long list of celebrity friends and people that we're going to invite on the show, or who said they will come on, but we're just waiting for the perfect opportunity. Mm-hmm. So if you like those type of episodes, just definitely let us know. Let us know what your favorite episodes that we've had are, and what type of shows you like, and we'll try to get more of those out there.
We've also been able to go to some conventions. They've invited us as part of media, and that's been great. Hoping to continue to have great content. We've had so many great partners that have allowed to send us stuff to review and to talk about, and it blows me away where we're at with this. I never imagined. I was sending some information to a convention the other day. And I averaged up, for the blog, how many views it had in the last 6 months, and I just can't believe, 100,000 is just like a number that I didn't think we would see, and just to see it continue to grow, and just so from us, we just want to say thank you for sharing your fandom with us. I mean, when we talk about DuckTalks, we put a lot of time and effort into it because we want to further the conversations about these properties. We love the Disney afternoon, and we love DuckTales, and we want more of it. And so we kind of see it as we have an opportunity here to help contribute to spreading the word about it, and to let fans know, hey, there's a pin coming out on October 31st that's only available in 2 places in the world. If you're a fan, this is when you got to be there to go get it. We want you to know that so that you can go get it, and because we know that you're a fan of that. And then that tells Disney, hey, look, there are people that want more of this. We want to let you know when a book's coming out so that you don't miss an issue of the comic, or a pop that you would have liked, whatever it is, or tell you that Disney Plus is going to have all your favorite shows soon, and you won't have to change a disc to watch them. You can just switch around in whatever chaotic order you want to watch them. We just want to get that word out there, and we feel extremely humbled whenever we get to talk with someone. Because of you all. It's because of the people who are listening. It's from
the support.
Yeah.
I have to thank you. I never thought I would ever be able to talk a a beer company to be able to send me a 6-pack of Darkwing beer to review for a blog for everyone. But it's because of your support that I was able to do that.
Definitely a highlight of Duck Talks. But we've had a great time doing this, and we plan on sticking around for a while. We'll see what happens with season 3. We're looking forward to it. We don't know yet when the show's going to return. Honestly, I'm kind of feeling like maybe we get something in December. I feel like that holiday episode kind of has to happen, but maybe it doesn't. Maybe they hold off and we get more DuckTales sometime in 2020. But we're going to be here talking about what we can talk about and talking with whoever will talk with us about DuckTales in the Disney afternoon. And we hope you continue to join us and reach out to us by email, on Twitter, email ducktalkspod@gmail.com, Twitter @ducktalks. We enjoy getting those tweets. Listen, when one of you all sends a tweet to someone involved in DuckTales and includes us on it while you're talking about the show, I just get a kick out of that you include us. It just blows me away that you're sharing your fandom with us, and we thank you for that, and we thank you for allowing us to share our fandom with you. So from Duck Talks to you all, thank you for the last 2 years. And with that, go ahead. You guys go ahead.
I was going to say, and hopefully quite a few more.
Yes.
And I have to say thank you for all the people that have sent in any Duck Talks fan art. We really appreciate it. Well, okay, no one has sent any Duck Talks fan art yet, but I'm just throwing it out there. If you do, we're totally going to retweet that.
Yes. Guys, we could talk all night about how thankful we are. We have. It's late on our end. We're going to call it a night, and so we're going to sign off by saying until next time.
Stay glum, Golden.
If you can dream it, you can do it.
That's 2-year anniversary.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
Woo!
Yeah.